Hi everyone, welcome back to That's Mental. So today I'm here with another story time. It's gonna be a long one, so grab a cup of tea, grab your beverage of choice, get comfortable, and let's go for today's story. Today, as you might have seen by the title of this video, I want to talk about what happens when your trust is broken at work again. So trust is broken part 2, and how to overcome that, or what I did this time around, because it's been a while. So I'm going to dive right in and tell you the whole story. If you didn't know, about 6 years ago, I published a video called What Happens When Your Trust is Broken at Work. I will link that in the box below, or I will put a link if I can here. And in that video, I talked about a really bad experience that I had in my previous job. I also wrote a blog post talking about the consequences of having your trust broken at work and what that means when you stay in the workplace, what that means for employees, for employers, and so on, which I'm also going to link down below. And so this happened 6 years ago, and I really thought that was going to be like, the end and never have to deal with a situation like that again. But unfortunately, and I guess predictably, this happened to me again not so long ago. Why do I say predictably? Because in the end, that's how life goes, right? You can never completely avoid a situation. Life will teach you lessons again. And it's only normal, I guess, to expect that in the workplace from time to time you're going to have a negative experience. This isn't the Care Bear world. So yeah, it definitely wasn't easy to go through. I mean, as you can imagine, not only was it a horrible event in and of itself, but of course I was being re-traumatized or reliving my previous traumatic experience. So that in itself was pretty bad as well. But the good news is, and there is good news in this story, is it hit me way less hard than it did the first time. So it also shows me that I've had a lot of growth in the past 6 years, and I've learned a lot, and I'm a completely different person. So just like I was saying in my recovering from workplace trauma video, trust yourself that you are a different person now. This story for me really shows that about myself, and I hope it can inspire you to trust yourself if you're going through something similar. So let's dive right into the story. So essentially I was working at my job, and I was on a pretty small team, and I was responsible for leading a specific project. I got put in charge of a project. It was quite a large-scale project. It was across several countries. It involved, all kinds of different stakeholders that I had to work with, from people in similar roles to me to people in completely different roles. It was really quite big. Long story short, I'd spent a lot of time planning and working on this campaign, and I was really confident, really sure of myself. If you know anything about me, then you know that I'm somebody who really likes clarity and structure, and I like to work within clearly defined boundaries and so on. So I like to have, briefs, instructions, roles and responsibilities, everything to be really clear and properly outlined. So of course, that's also how I work, and this is also the kind of structure that I like to create around my work to make sure that everybody I'm working with is clear, and we're all on the same page and so on. So that's just how I work. Anyway, something just didn't go quite right, and a few days before the launch, it turns out something is missing. I didn't do something quite right, and I also didn't communicate extremely well with my colleagues. I'd missed a step, and because of that, suddenly it came to our attention. We're about to launch, and this misunderstanding comes to light at the very last minute. And this is where shit started to go wrong. Obviously, I realized my mistake and I took immediate steps to fix it, but that wasn't enough. Somehow people started to panic, and when people start to panic, shit hits the fan, and it just starts to become a nightmare situation. Anyway, so the first problem that I became aware of, apart from the misunderstanding or on the project itself, was that the person leading this project globally, on a global level, because I was based in a regional role, this person had thrown me under the bus and complained about me to my manager, and possibly also to theirs, I don't really know. But this person had complained and was unhappy and was kicking up a fuss about this misunderstanding. So immediately this blew the problem out of proportion, because instead of trying to solve it with me and calmly talk through what was going on, it immediately got escalated to senior people. And because of that, pressure started to build, even though I already had a solution. Like the pressure was like, I don't know, doubled, you know? My manager then started to put pressure on me. So now we've got, you know, like double the pressure, triple the pressure, like it's just coming at me from everywhere. This person started acting completely irrationally, didn't keep their calm at all. They blew it out of proportion. They made the situation way more dramatic than it was, even though I had told them that I had a solution. But suddenly they were freaking out and like everything was the worst. And they were saying things like, how could it have gone so wrong? And there's been a huge mistake. And I can't believe this is happening, like drama central. And urging me to scrap everything and to start from scratch. Again, super healthy reaction, like just throw everything you've done in the trash and start over. Great. Anyway, so you can imagine by this point I'm feeling pretty stressed out, because the project that I've been working on for months suddenly has gone like, you know, been turned upside down. People are coming at me from all sides, and I'm being told to like basically throw everything I've done out the window, start from scratch with like 3 days to go to launch. It's like crazy situation. And yeah, not only was I feeling, I don't know, like I was feeling stressed about everything, like not just what I described to you now, but the fact that everything was happening so fast, the fact that nobody was keeping calm, like, you know, the way I'm describing this to you, it's like people suddenly just started panicking and hitting the panic button. And I'm like, what happens to just sitting down, taking a moment to breathe and think it through? Like, no, none of that. And the thing that was also really bothering me, apart from what I described, was the fact that my manager, so the person that's supposed to be in a way like helping me and keeping their calm and like kind of be like, I got your back, let's figure this out together, was also panicking and like just, you know, blowing everything out of proportion. So instead of helping me through the crisis, they were basically making it worse and throwing more oil on the fire. So that was just awful, because it just amplified the whole stressful situation. Then it somehow gets worse, because yes, there's more to this story. On the same day that this all blows up and we realize there's a mistake and I'm fixing it and so on, you know, like I said, people are hitting the panic button like crazy. So we get onto a meeting and I'm calm and all of that. And in this meeting, there's a bunch of different people, including quite some, you know, senior leaders and let's say, you know, important people within the organization, important stakeholders. And in this call, rather than saying, you know, okay, we spoke and we're gonna fix it, we have a solution, like Emma's gonna come up with something and you know, reassuring people basically about what was happening, my manager goes on to say in front of everybody on this call, yeah, clearly something has gone really wrong. I can't believe we got here. Such a huge mistake. Like, it's such a big mess and so on. And you can imagine, like, my heart sunk when I heard this, because I was thinking, oh my God, you're making me seem like an idiot. So suddenly I felt bad, because I'm like, okay, first of all, they're making it sound really dramatic to everybody else. Second of all, they make me sound like I'm a complete idiot, like I basically hadn't read the instructions before I started and that I got everything wrong, which is horrible. Third of all, like not even, you know, acknowledging the work that I've done so far and saying, you know, it's a small mistake, it's gonna be okay, but like really making it seem very dramatic, which is not helpful. And essentially how it felt to me was like not protecting me in front of others, but really like throwing me under the bus and making it look like I was the one who was just responsible for the mistake. So the whole situation, I'm sitting on this call in disbelief, like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. You know, what's going on? I just, it's so much to process in the moment. Suddenly here I was again, like experiencing the whole same traumatic situation as I did 6 years ago, because one of my colleagues from my team, my manager, like someone from my office that I sit with, that I work with, you know, who's supposed to have my back, who's supposed to protect me. Like, you know, in my mind, when you have a team your direct team, they're like, yeah, the people who've got your back, like you're the closest, that team comes first. And there I was having one of those people literally just, you know, throw me under the bus. Yeah, this was the same trauma as before, where I had expected my manager to protect me, my boss to protect me against someone from a different office. And here I was in the same situation back at square one. And you can imagine that I was, like I said, like shocked, like trying to process everything on top of the mistake, on top of having to start all the work. Like just so much was happening, and I just was sitting in this, like, you know, meeting room being like, what the fuck is happening, basically. Yeah, it was really awful. I honestly, like, I felt attacked from all sides. I felt attacked by the person who'd first complained. I felt attacked by my manager. I felt attacked by whoever else was on the call going like, oh my God, this is a catastrophic situation. You know, I just felt completely disarmed and at a loss for what to do, basically. And yeah, it doesn't stop there, it continues. Obviously your reality feels shattered when something like this happens. You know, it's dealing with the disbelief and the pain of being hurt by someone that you thought you could trust. It's trying to understand, like, why would they even do that, you know, like what kind of person does this? And yeah, like, oh my God, is it really one of those people? Like, how did I not see this before? This person is just out for themselves. Like, you know, once again, I'm met with one of these people who just wants to put themselves first. So it's a lot. And also trying to, like I say, like manage your emotions and how you're feeling in that moment and maintain composure. So it was just a lot. And the saga continues, of course. I continue to get re-traumatized. Of course, the act of betrayal was one big act of re-traumatization, but the behavior escalated, and it continued to be like this during days and in fact weeks. But my manager in particular continued to exhibit concerning behavior, bullying me and using fear tactics on me. For example, raising their voice in public and also in private, creating situations in public that made me feel really uncomfortable by raising their voice or getting angry, blaming me for the situation, then turning it around on me and telling me I was blaming others. So basically like manipulation tactics, gaslighting, saying that, you know, I didn't like it when things didn't go my way. So basically trying to make me the bad person in the situation. So again, manipulation. And all this time refusing to talk to me calmly, refusing to think things through, refusing to hear me out, like, you know, just really overreacting. So like I said, they were using threats and manipulation to try and get me to do the work. And worse still, you know, I was having a moment where I was thinking, like, I cannot just throw this work out the window. Like, so many people have spent hours on the project. I was proud of what we had done, and I was trying to think of the consequences for others. So I tried to defend the work, and this person again was like, yeah, don't pretend like you care, don't try to pretend like you're, you know, like basically trying to make me feel bad for that behavior and making me doubt myself and question, was I doing the right thing? Was I putting on a show? Like, just so much manipulation and like getting into your head, like really making you doubt yourself in the moment. I should add that this person like also tried to intimidate me by dominating me physically. And by this, I just mean that like I was sitting down and they were standing up. But as you can imagine, like when it's a heated conversation, that does feel quite intimidating. So it was honestly just a nightmare. I was trying to figure out how to solve the project. You know, there was a lot of high stakes on the project. Of course, I wanted it to succeed. And I wanted to prove that, you know, like I hadn't fucked up and I was good at my job. You know, I was trying to work and do this in horrible conditions whilst I was basically just rocking like a bear, like trying to deal with my emotions and all of the feelings that were coming up for me because of this being so similar to what I had experienced in the past. But luckily, and this is where the, you know, some of the good side of the story comes in. I immediately recognized it for what it was. The crazy thing to me is that in that moment, even though I was really living the situation and like feeling like attacked and a victim of what was happening, I also had the awareness. I was like, oh my God, this person is trying to manipulate me. This person betrayed me. This person is like overstepping. And because I recognized it immediately, first of all, it really helped me with my emotional regulation to not spiral out of control. And it also really helped me to stay strong and to set boundaries. And instead of allowing people to walk all over me like I would have done in the past, I really stood my ground and I stood up for myself. I defended my work, I took my position, and I really made it clear that I wasn't going to allow myself to be intimidated and that I was not going to tolerate being treated this way. It was pretty hard. I'm not going to lie. Like, it was hard because at the same time that you're dealing with this trauma from the past, you still have to stay strong. And this is really the moment where I'm like, I really have to show up for myself now. Like, I really have to show them and also myself that I'm not going to tolerate this anymore, that I have standards and I have boundaries and that I'm within my rights. I think one of the biggest challenges is really like not allowing the self-doubt to get into your head, whether it's in the moment or from the past, because definitely in the past I was doubting myself and the whole gaslighting and wondering, okay, did I imagine it? Is it really happening? Did they really mean it this way? But I was like, I'm 100% sure this is intentional. Like, there's no way this person is pretending or not intending to intimidate me. Like, this is definitely what's happening. Of course, I had to deal with those doubts and the people pleaser in me wanting to avoid conflict at all costs, and the fear and just wanting to run away from the situation, and the self-doubt that was creeping in. And yeah, of course, like questioning, did I imagine it? Am I doing the right thing? Should I really be standing up to this person? Am I putting myself at risk by doing so? Should I just keep the peace for the sake of the project? Of course, I had all of these questions. Even today, as I'm telling you this story, part of me is like, was it really that bad? Or did I just imagine it? However, despite that, I managed to stand up for myself and set the boundaries. And we ended up having a conversation with HR that I had clearly indicated that I was not afraid and that I was not going to have this used against me again as like another manipulation tactic. And it turns out it was a really good idea to bring a third person into the room as a mediator. But, and this is the last traumatizing part of the story, suddenly in that meeting I get caught completely off guard. Like, despite the fact that I had prepared myself for it, I had written notes, I'd been mentally preparing, I'd been like boosting myself, like affirmations, and I'd had support, but still I was caught off guard. We go into the meeting and all of a sudden my colleague is now blaming me for being unhappy, bringing up the fact that I'm unhappy as some kind of excuse or something against me, using my unhappiness against me and other colleagues as a way to attack me, which again, like, just blows my mind, because for me, like, if you see somebody unhappy, why would you use that against them? Yeah, so apparently out of the blue, it became apparent that other colleagues could sense my mood, and they could sense it over the phone, and they could sense it in meetings, or so they were not enjoying working with me because it was so hard, because I was so unhappy. That apparently they were making complaints about me because I was, bringing this bad vibe that was like oozing through the screen. And I think this might have been one of the worst moments of the whole ordeal, because suddenly I was like spiraling into this self-doubt, like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I say? Did I say something wrong? Did I really give someone a bad impression? Is that really what they think of me? Are they talking about me? What did they say about me? Do they really think this? Like, should I have done something different? Like, just this crazy thought spiral that is really destructive, like really self-destructive. I was so scared of falling into that hole, that emotional hole of self-doubt and anxiety and, you know, horribly low self-confidence, and just feeling crushed and not being able to trust yourself. And that really scared me. Yeah, it was one of those moments where you suddenly start to question everything that you ever said or did, which is so damaging for your mental health and for your self-esteem. And you just cannot allow yourself to go there. So then I was dealing, like, not only was I dealing with those feelings, but I was dealing with the fear of ending up in that hole. But now I really want to talk about what changed, what are my learnings, and the good things that came out of this situation, because there are a lot of good things and there is hope. And this is the message that I want to share with you. So the first good news, like I said, is that I immediately recognized this situation for what it was. Like, pretty much from the get-go, I was like, okay, this person has betrayed me. They care only about themselves. They're trying to manipulate me. Basically, that was clear. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to tolerate this, you know? Like, the me from 6 years ago would have allowed myself to get beaten up and walked all over. And honestly, part of me was sad for that, for my old self. But the me from today was like, I am not tolerating this bullshit. I deserve better. I'm a grown-ass woman. I do not need to tolerate this kind of behavior. So even though I was afraid, I was like, I'm not gonna allow this to happen. I'm not gonna let myself be treated like this. And my moment of pride and happiness is that I showed up for myself. And like I said, past me would have let herself get walked all over, but also, you know, this was part of my burnouts, is because I was waiting for someone to save me. I was waiting for someone to come rescue me, to help me, to see the situation that I was in, to feel sorry for me, but nobody came. And that was like part of this tragic part of this burnout, is realizing and just feeling so alone. And this time I knew it, like I had to be there for myself. And I did that. I did it. I was able to do it. I was able to stay calm. You know, I relied on my experience, my ability to clearly express myself, and to be, you know, to use that to put myself in a position of power. I didn't let the self-doubt creep in, which again, something like this would have completely destroyed me, my confidence, and like crushed me into the ground. But I was like, I know I've done a good job. I don't care what you say. Like, I know I'm good at my job. I know how to do my job. And again, this gave me the confidence to really stay strong and tall and not give in to this intimidation. And I'm so proud of myself for that, because again, like, instead of letting myself get crushed, I realized this says nothing about me. This says more about them than it says about me. So I was able to really stay strong. And I really relied on help. I really relied on help from friends. I reached out for help. You know, I think, like I've said previously, the burnout is very isolating. You feel really alone. I called friends. I cried. I told them what was happening. I expressed my emotional distress. My coach was there for me, like, so grateful to her. And to all of my friends for being there for me, for listening, for reassuring me that the situation was wrong, that, you know, like, no, I should not be experiencing this, that yes, I'm right to stand up for myself. Like, honestly, all of this gave me so much courage and strength and made me feel supported. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of feeling supported and that you've got a crowd behind your back. Like, yeah, the next thing is that I decided to take action immediately and to set those boundaries right away. Instead of allowing the situation to just go on and on and on and kind of hope for it to get better and kind of think, okay, no, it will be fine, like, just let it go, blah, 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 live to see another day. Like, no, I was like, fuck this, I am not tolerating this. And I immediately, apart from standing up for myself in the moment, I also immediately expressed the fact that I wanted to change teams, that I didn't want to work for this person anymore. And And I also made some deadlines for myself. And this I find really interesting. It was not like a conscious choice, but it was more that I knew I cannot stay in this situation. Like, it's not for me. So I wrote down some deadlines for myself by when I wanted things to change and how long I could picture tolerating the situation realistically. And that was really helpful, I have to say, because when I was looking back at those notes, I realized that, okay, I've been in this situation for too long. So this was also a good learning for myself. But ultimately, within 6 months of that situation, so within 6 months of this shit going down, you know, I had taken decisive action, and I was in a leaving process. And within less than 12 months after that fatal day, I had left the company. 6 months. For me, that is huge, because previously I spent 6 years in a job that I hated. So could you imagine 6 months versus 6 years, like the time? You can imagine it for yourself how much faster that was. And honestly, I'm so proud of myself for that, and for being able to do that, and all of the other things that I told you. It's just an example that you really can and do learn, and you really do grow, and you really do become a different person, and it means that you get to rewrite the narrative. Yeah, despite how horrible this story is, it's really a major milestone for me, and I actually feel really proud, and I can tell it without feeling so much heaviness and weight and pain and sadness that I did the first time around, because instead I'm really celebrating the achievement. And I really want you to know that it is possible to make it, you know, it is possible to survive and to overcome your workplace trauma and to come back as a different person. Yeah, to turn it around and to be there for yourself, to learn from your experience. And you know, I really feel like this time around it had a lot less lasting impact on me. It didn't ruin my life the way some of my other experiences did. You know, I just feel like, okay, it happened and I've already practically forgotten about it, if not for sharing this story. So I really want you to know that there is hope. Like, really, this is my message. There is hope. There is growth, and things do change. So yeah, it's really important for us to realize that things can change and to be able to overcome our PTSD. So really, don't give up. Please keep it going. If you have any stories of success you want to share with me, please let me know in the comments, or you can send me a DM. You can reach out via my website. I would love to hear from you. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.